Hello and blessings. My name is Braden McKenzie and welcome to Full Body Mobility. We'll begin standing in Tadasana. Bring your feet together, big toes touching. Ground down through the legs, into the floor, slight tuck of the tailbone towards the heels, slight activation through the core. Allow your shoulders to be relaxed and your arms to hang down along your sides gently. And from here, just to tune into the breath, beginning to regulate your inhales and exhales in through the nose. Breathing deep into the lower lobes of the lungs and filling all the way up into the upper chest. Tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system and preparing yourself for a little bit of mobility work. Just take about 5 more deep breaths here on your own. One more full cycle of breath. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Blink the eyes open. Spread the feet about hips width distance apart. We're going to start the practice off with a little bit of shaking. This is the best way that I've found to relieve tension throughout the entire body, especially when waking up in the morning. So allow your hands to hang down along by your sides, and then just with the motion directly through the knees, the rest of the body relaxed. Just begin to bounce the body. Feel free to move a little bit with it. Just to shake out any tension from sleeping and waking up, or even if this is partway through the day. You're essentially just using your knees to bounce the weight of the body downward. I like to shake out my wrists because I hold a lot of tension there. You can try leaning your right ear down towards the right shoulder, getting a stretch in the left side of the neck. Bring the head back to center. Lean the left ear over to the left shoulder. Getting to the right side of the neck. Head back to center. Here for another about 15 seconds. You can tilt the head up and down a little bit. Another 5 seconds. Slowly begin to stop. Eventually becoming still. Taking a few deep breaths. Now moving into a torso elasticity motion. Extend your arms out towards the sides. Bend at the elbows, coming to this 90-90 kind of position. And then just start to rotate at the waist, keeping the head facing forward. Just trying to rotate all the way to your end range of motion. Then allow your fascia to bounce you back in the other direction. Making sure to deepen the breath as you move through this. Another 10 seconds here. And slowly start to slow the motion down and come back to stillness. Now we're going to move through some transverse motions of the head, chest, and the hips. Starting with the head, I'll do it from the side so you get a better look at it. Bend the knees a little bit. Again, activating the core, just let the arms hang down by the sides. And then starting with the head, extend your chin out forward, to the right, back to the left, and start to make circles with just the head. Trying to keep the head completely level throughout the entire movement and only moving with the neck. This can be kind of hard to understand at first. And if you do need help, I recommend just looking into a mirror while you do it. But movements like this are very healthy for the spine. Do this for about another 10 seconds. And then we'll switch directions. And switch directions, same thing, but just moving towards the left now. This one kind of trips me up sometimes. My one shoulder always, pulls on it a bit, but a lot of these movements can be super weird at first, but after you practice them a lot, you'll start to see all the benefits. Another 5 seconds. And come back. Next, we're moving into the chest area. Same kind of motion with the head, but now just with the upper spine and like the chest region. So start by moving to the right, shift the chest forward, move it to the left, and then come back around. So you want to keep, again, your head and your shoulders completely level, but you're moving the chest to the side, forwards, to the other side, and back, articulating into the upper part of your spine. It can feel, again, weird. It's hard not to do without moving the hips or the arms, but a bit of practice and it becomes easier. Another 10 seconds. Now shift, other direction. Same kind of motion, just working to move the chest forward and back you're kind of putting the shoulder joint through protraction and retraction, if that kind of helps you understand it a little more. I think the hardest part about this one is keeping the shoulders level and not moving the arms, but you kind of need to a little bit. 5 more seconds. And now moving on to the hips. This one's much simpler. It's again the same thing, just moving the hips, keeping the chest level, the head level. The motion is really only through the lower spine and the hips. You don't want to stick your butt out too far, that's not the point. You want to keep the glutes squeezed. And then just articulate the spine through the hips. Again, moving first one direction. A few more seconds. And switch directions. Few more. And come to stillness. Now we're going to do a bit of articulation through the lower legs. Raise your right leg up, balancing on your left. Just roll out through your ankle, moving to the right, to the left. And then move that rotation up into the knee while also rolling out through the ankle, moving to the right, left. Watch your balance. Bring the foot to rest, flex the foot, and then move through internal and external rotation just by swinging the foot from side to side. Come to a stop. Shift the weight onto the right foot, lift up to left, roll out through the left ankle. First right, left. Move the articulation to the knee, right, left. Come to a stop, flex the foot, and move through internal and external rotation. Good, bring the feet back down to rest. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward, lean slightly back. Open into the shoulders. Exhale, come back forward. Clasp the hands behind the back. Now, moving into a chest expansion. You can stay here if this is all your shoulders allow, or like keep your arms like this, even this. Having the hands behind the back opens into the shoulders. If you can, clasp the arms, lift them up behind the back. This gets into the shoulders, opens into the chest. You can even bounce them upwards, moving into more of that elastic property of your fascia. Come back down to rest. Inhale, sweep the arms up again. Stretch up as straight to the ceiling as you can. Squeeze the glutes. And we're going to side bend over to the right. Push your left hip kind of to the forwards and over to the left. And extend out through your left hand. Come back to center. Inhale. Exhale, shift over to the left. Inhale back up. Exhale to the right. breathing into the left side of the body. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. Inhale up. One more time each side. Inhale up. Exhale last time to the left. Inhale up. And slowly float the arms down along by your side. Next, moving into the wrists. This will be a bit of a different one if you've never done it before. From your arms hanging along your sides, bring your hands up, palms facing out. And from here we start to rotate the hands inward, moving them through fully clenched and fingers fully extended as we extend them out towards the sides. And then rotate them outwards the same way, coming back in. The whole time maintaining strong activation throughout the biceps, forearms, wrists, really holding a lot of tension there, and then you'll feel the most benefit from this exercise. It's really good for taking care of the wrists. Just 3 times out, 3 times in. You'll definitely start to feel your forearms burn up if you're doing it right. Moving into shoulder cars, which are controlled articulated rotations. I'll get you the side view so you can see better what I'm doing. Just let your right arm hang down along your side. Again, active in the glutes, slight activation in the core. Depress the shoulder down as much as possible. And then on the inhale, slowly extend the arm forward, moving it to full protraction. And then slowly up overhead, full extension. Twist the hand towards the face of the outside. And then slowly move back into full retraction. And then again into depression. And then we reverse. Inhale up, extending the hand out as far as you can the whole way. Moving through the full movement of the shoulder rotation. Inhale up, we'll do it 3 times on each side. Twist the hand out. Exhale, slowly lower. Back up. Rotate the hand in. Slowly lower. One more time. Inhale. Twist it out. Moving on to the left arm. Again, start with that arm hanging down along the side. Push the arm towards the floor, moving into full depression. Inhale. Full protraction. Full elevation. Twist the hand to face the outside. Moving back into retraction. Now if you feel any clicks and pops in the shoulder joint, just move through those slowly. The more you do this exercise, the more that those will go away, so it's not a bad thing, that's what I'm trying to say. You definitely have one more side. I mean, one side that's a little bit more sticky than the other one. And it's good to recognize which ways your shoulders are different than each other when moving through these type of movements. Moving on to the last type of spinal wave before we move towards the floor. These are top leading sagittal spinal waves, and we'll move from top leading into bottom leading, and these are probably the best exercise for a healthy spine. They can be a little difficult at the beginning, but the more you practice, even with the use of a mirror, you get a little better. So just try to watch the movement and then mimic it as best you can. So bend the knees a little bit, arms hang down along the sides, starting with the head. The head goes forward, then the chest goes forward, the head comes back, the hips go forward, and then once the hips come forward, then the head starts coming forward again. So you're moving your spine through a bit of a wave pattern. Trying to control the body through each part of the movement. You want to go equally forwards as you do backwards, ideally. And trying to keep your head on the same level as you move through the whole thing. Not dipping like too far up and down and stuff like that. Again, this is just one of those practice moves. Even I'm not very proficient at it yet, but it's also a move you can feel a lot into. Close your eyes. Now doing the same thing, but in reverse. One of my teachers calls it the vomiting cat, but I try not to picture that when doing it. So starting with the hips now instead of the head. The hips go forward, chest into the head. Same type of movement, just in reverse. This one looks weirder, but sometimes it's easier for people to grasp. Remember to maintain your breathing throughout this entire practice. About 10 more seconds here. And slowly come to stillness. Come to the middle of your mat, feet a little bit more than hips width distance. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. From here, in this forward fold, bring your hands interlaced behind the back of the head, elbows in beside the head, and then you're gonna slowly bounce in between your legs, trying to gaze up at the ceiling behind you, if that makes sense, or looking in towards the belly button.
5 more seconds. Slowly come to stillness. Try to curl inward as much as you can. It can feel like a weird exercise, but those bouncy exercises, especially in the morning, are really good at working into your fascia and getting you a little bit of extra mobility in the morning after being still for so long overnight. From that forward fold, coming into a deep yogi squat. If your heels don't touch the ground, that's all right. Just you want to keep it flat back. Bring your hands together, elbows into the knees, knees into the elbows. Just try to sit up tall and straight, eventually working to get the heels to the ground, sinking deep into the hips. You can shift from side to side, starting to work into the hips a little bit. You can stretch the neck from left to right, up and down. From here, we're going to start to work into a bit of hip mobility. So starting from this deep squat, you bring your hands on top of your knees, or you can just leave them out in front of you. Then you'll bring the right knee down to touch in front of the left foot, back up, left knee down to touch in front of the right foot. And then just continue to move side to side in that motion for a little while. Working on a bit of internal hip rotation, which is really good for your hip mobility, especially if you don't, spend a lot of time in a squat position during the day. Come to seated. And now, as internal rotation, we get some external rotation. So bring your right hand to your right knee, flex the foot, and push back with the hands, externally rotating to the right hip joint. And then the same on the other side, left hand, flex the left foot, push back with the hands, and then just move side to side. You can use your opposite elbow against the opposite knee to help you press outward at the same time. A couple more times. All right, now come back to center. Place the left hand down just outside of the left foot. Right hand to the left hand. And inhale. Stretch the right arm up and back. And exhale, move deep into the twist. You can get yourself into the twist more by using your left elbow to press into your left leg. Stay here for 2 breaths. Back to center. Right hand down up front of the right foot. Again, left hand to the right. And then inhale. Open the left hand up towards the sky. Pushing into the right leg with your right elbow to assist you with your twist. Every inhale expanding into the chest and the abdomen. And on every exhale, trying to twist a little deeper. Come back to center. This time, take the left hand, plant it down, fingers facing the back of the mat behind your body, and inhale. Sweep the right arm up overhead, come up onto the tiptoes if possible, coming into a slight back bend, pushing all the force down through the left hand And then lifting the hips up and lifting onto the toes, extending out to the right side of the body, holding for a breath. Inhale. Come back to your squat, switching over to the right side. Right hand plants down, fingers facing the back of the mat. Inhale, sweep the left arm up overhead, coming up onto the tiptoes. All the force down through the right hand. Pushing up, squeezing the glutes. One more breath. Come back to your yogi squat. One more hip mobility movement, and then we'll get out of this deep squat, because I know I love sitting in here. It's one of my favorite poses, but it's not the best for some people. Bring your hands on top of your knees, and then starting with the right, shift up into a toe squat on the right foot, and then lower the right knee down to the ground to touch lightly. Coming back to your squat, moving to the left side, toe squat on the left, and then lower the left knee to touch lightly on the ground. Just moving back and forth through this motion, working a lot into the toes, the ankles, a bit more into the hip mobility. It's gonna be a bit of a aggravating movement if you're not used to sitting on the toes like this. But, like everything, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more comfortable you be doing these type of functional movement exercises. Come back to center. Plant the hands down at the front of the mat. Lift the hips up and back. Coming into downward facing dog. First downward dog of the day, so make any micro movements that feel good in your body. Pulling out through the feet. Shifting the hips to the left and right. I like to bounce into the shoulders. Wherever you are, begin to find stillness. Pushing weight down through the ankles. Pushing out through the hands, bringing the shoulders close to the ears. Tucking the tailbone up towards the ceiling. You just find a steady breath. Bring your feet together at the back of the mat. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, bring the right leg outside the right hand. Plant the right foot outside the right hand. Sink the left knee down towards the mat. Coming to this lizard lunge. Now from here, you can flex the foot and open up the knee towards the side if you feel, or just stay in this position. Inhale, bring the right arm behind the back. Catch the left foot. This is where I like to flex a toe and move the right knee out to the side. And then from here, just start to draw the left foot in, sink the hips towards the mat, stay strong in the left hand. This opens into the shoulders, the back, the left thigh, right hip crease, left hip flexor. It's a really good stretch. You can just hold out here, or you can even pulse the left leg in towards the back, using your hand to assist if you like. A few more seconds. Release the foot slowly. Plant the hands. Step back to your downward facing dog. This time, inhale, lift the left leg up and back. Exhale, bring the left foot forward, outside the left hand. Place the right knee down on the mat. Again, open the left hip out to the side. Wherever you are. Inhale the left arm back to catch the right foot. And then just pull it in towards the body. Staying strong in the right hand, sinking the hips more towards the mat the longer you're here. And then you can pulse the right leg in like the other side. A few more seconds. Slowly release the right leg. Coming back to the lizard lunge. And then back to your down dog. Inhale, shift forward. Place the knees down. Tuck your toes under. Sit back on the feet. On top of the heels. You have to untuck your pinkies a little bit. Moving into this little foot stretch. This can be pretty painful after a while if you're not used to doing it for a long time, so bear with me as we move through a couple movements. From here, extend the arms out to the side, fingers flexed and pointed at the ceiling. Rotate the hands, fingers pointing towards the floor. Clench the fists, bring the fists in, flex the biceps. Rotate the elbows forward, rotate the elbows and hands down and back, and then extend the arms again, bringing the hands out to flex. This moves into the forearms, wrists, shoulders. It's a really good exercise to do while we're sitting here in this foot stretch. We'll do this 2 more times. Rotate down, hands, biceps, forward, down and back, extend, down, clench, squeeze, forward, down and back, extend. You can shake out the hands. On your feet, you're probably hurting a little bit now. Untuck the toes, tap them if that's your thing. Sit down on your feet. And since we stretched out the other way, gotta stretch out the tops of the feet. So from here, lean back on the feet, use your hands if you need to support yourself a little bit. And just breathe. You can bring your hands to rest on top of the knees. Send them out alongside the side, along the side of your legs, whatever works good for you. A couple more breaths here. Slowly lower the knees back down. Now we'll bring your right shin parallel to the top of the front of the mat. Bring your left leg out to the side into this 90-90 position, or deer pose if you prefer. And from here, we're just gonna move into some active mobility on the right side with this position. So you can bring your hands out to the side. The chest will come to face over the right knee. And then inhale. And then exhale, slowly lower forward. With as much of your weight, not through the hands, but pushing, using the strength of this leg and pushing down to where the knee is instead of using the hands. So inhale back up. Trying to go for 10 repetitions. is a really good active exercise for the outside of the hip. 2 more. And then we can just spin around and do this on the other side. So spinning around to the left leg now, parallel with the back edge of your mat. Right leg out. It's the 90-90 position. Sit up tall. Plant the hands, line up the chest with the left knee. Inhale. And exhale, slowly lower. Using this leg, the strength of it, and the point of your knee as the brace instead of putting the weight through as much weight as you can through the hands. So, and this will build that active strength through that outer hip on this exercise. One more. Back around to the middle of your mat. Moving into a Cobblers Pose. So bring your feet out in front of you, not too far from the body. Press the soles together. You can wrap the hands around the toes and shrug through the shoulders, or straighten up through the upper back. Just to find that good, strong, tall position here. And then we're gonna move again into some active mobility in this position. So to begin with, push your feet together, and you can already feel it fire up into the hips. And then from here, you just with as flat a back as you can and pushing together into the feet. You're gonna extend forward and try to tap down at the floor in front of you. Slowly working to move farther and farther forward. Really working actively into the hip joints here. This also helps you develop more flexibility in your forward fold. A few more seconds. Come to rest. Just sit in your Cobblers Pose. Actually extend your feet out a little bit farther. You can even give your feet a little bit of a massage. Feels kind of nice. Then on an inhale, straighten up. And an exhale, fold forward. Bring the head towards the feet, coming to more of a passive position. Just take a few breaths and find a slight rest. Inhale, slowly roll yourself back up to a seated position. We're gonna do with that we did in that Cobblers Pose, but in more of a wide-legged forward fold. Don't come into a full expression of your wide leg forward fold. Maybe come about 70% of the way. however you like to flex, point your feet, whatever works best for you. But stay active in the legs, squeeze the legs, thighs, lower legs, squeeze the feet, point or flex. And you don't want this rounding of the back. You want to have that tilt to the tailbone. Bring in your chest more towards the ground first, then this type of thing. But we'll do the same type of bounce movement we did in the Cobblers Pose. Now, if you can't come too far forward, and this is a lot for you on the legs, you can just plant the hands behind you and try to find a really straight up and down position, slowly working on getting that tilt backwards and lessening the rounding of your spine in this position. Even if you can only bounce like this much, it's still beneficial. You're activating into the legs and the hips. But from here, come to a certain amount distant forward, and then slowly bounce forward. Trying to touch the ground a little farther forward every time. Using the legs as your break. A few more seconds. Come back to seated. Swing your feet around, coming to the top of your mat. That's about it for the active mobility work. We're just gonna move into a series of Hatha Postures to round off the practice, and then move into a little short meditation. So from here, from seated, slowly roll down onto the back. Maybe shift yourself forward if you don't have a lot of room like me. We're gonna be moving into Sarvangasana, or shoulder stand. Now, if you know this isn't in your practice, you can just simply bring your legs up to 90 degrees. You can even place a prop underneath your hips to raise the hips up a bit, and you'll still get all the same benefits of an inversion as if you were in the shoulder stand. But if you're joining me, bring your legs together at the bottom of the mat, arms alongside the body, pushing into the ground. And then on an inhale, swing the legs up overhead towards the sky, bringing your hands to the lower back, finding your shoulder stand. I'm gonna hang out here for a couple breaths before making any readjustments. If you're readjusting, bring the knees towards the face, and then slowly bring the shoulders and elbows closer together, the hands higher up the back, and then straighten the legs back out. Finding your perfect position. And feel free to close the eyes. And focus on the breath. Couple more breaths here. You can bring your knees close to the head,
Slowly roll out of your position. Extending the legs long, spread the feet out wide, arms out to the sides. Short Sarvangasana. Really tuning into the breath as we slow down at the end of practice. Even though, it wasn't a very high octane practice, but now moving into Matsyasana the Fish. Bring your legs together at the bottom of the mat. Work your arms in underneath the body. Bring your elbows close together. Palms flat on the mat. Sit bones sitting on the top of the hands. Feet lightly flexed, but pretty relaxed in the legs. And then on your next inhale, push into the elbows, lifting the chest towards the sky. And then slowly lower the crown of the head down behind you. Most of the weight through the arms. You want little to no weight in the top of the head. You can even push down through your sit bones if that helps. Working on finding full yogic breath, inhaling into the chest. Inhaling into the abdomen, the ribs, and the chest. And slowly exhaling the same way out. One more breath. Inhale, push into the elbows. Tuck the chin in towards the chest. Slowly lower down to the ground. Immediately spread your legs and arms out wide and find stillness. Maybe you feel a slight tingling in the forearms and the hands as the blood flow circulates back towards them. Bring the legs together. Bring the palms on top of the thighs. And then with an inhale, slowly curl yourself in, coming to a seated position. Legs extended. Moving into Paschimottanasana, or seated forward fold. Inhaling your arms up overhead. Exhale, slowly lower, leading with the abdomen, only coming down about halfway. And then inhale back up. One more time, lower halfway. And then back up. This time, on the exhale, lower all the way down, finding your full seated forward fold. Working to find length forward out of the hips initially instead of immediately rounding in. Making a few self adjustments if needed. And then once you've found your forward fold, just work to settle into stillness.
Dropping the head down towards the knees, letting it be heavy. A few more breaths. On your next inhale,
Slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time to a seated position. Shifting forward if you need to. Slowly rolling down onto the back. Moving in to a reclined twist. Bring your right knee in towards the chest. And leaving your left hand on the knee. Slowly rotate the right knee over towards the left, shifting the hips a little if you need to, and the shoulders. Extending the right arm out to the side and gazing over towards your right thumb. And breathing deeply into the abdomen. Working to ground down your right shoulder and your right knee. One more full breath. On your inhale, come back to center. Swap out your left knee. Extend the right leg forward. Bring the left knee over towards the right side, towards the ground. Shift the hips if you need to. Extend the left arm out towards the left. Gaze towards the left thumb. And then breathe deeply. Every exhale, twisting deeper. Bring that left shoulder more towards the ground. And grounding through the left knee. One more full breath. Inhale back to center. Extend the left leg out long. Spread the feet wide. Spread the arms wide. Settling in to our final resting position, Shavasana, for a short little rest before our seated meditation. Just tuning into the body and the breath. Relaxing. Slowly begin to reawaken the body, making small movements to the feet and the hands, rolling through the ankles, the wrists. You can stretch the arms up overhead. Point the toes long. Suck the back body down to the mat. Bring your knees in towards the chest. Give them a squeeze. Roll onto your right side, using the right arm as a pillow. And when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position. Be helpful if you have a little meditation cushion handy. Raise your hips up a bit. But just move your way into a seated meditation position of your choosing. Just come into stillness. Hands resting on the knees, palms up and open. Sit bones rooting down through the seat into the ground, extending up through the spine and out through the crown of the head. Relaxing the shoulders, the arms, the neck, and all the muscles of the face. Tuning into the breath as it flows in through the nose, down deep into the abdomen, expanding outwards. And as it moves back out of the body, slowly through the nose, and the abdomen draws inward, navel pulling towards the spine. And here our focus remains on the breath, being in the moment. For the next few minutes, feeling some gratitude to yourself for taking this time to move into stillness and be with yourself just in the present. Maintain your posture. Maintain your inward focus. Begin to move back into the space around you. Slowly open the eyes. A lot of the movements in this practice could be very new to you, especially a lot of the spinal wave type of motions. But I hope you take the time to learn them and incorporate them maybe into your everyday practice. I know how highly beneficial they can be ever since I've learned them. And I really hope that you enjoyed all this mobility work. And I thank you for taking the time to do this practice with me and for allowing me to share it with you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste.